Let's have a little look then to a new year of tennis that kicks off as a bang, as always, with the Australian Open. Sky Sports Tennis Jonathan Overend is alongside me. Good afternoon.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. Has it been a happy New Year for the Brits who are trying to get through qualifying then at the Australian Open?
It turns around so quickly, doesn't it? Only seems like a couple of days ago that we were still playing tennis in the 2024 season. In fact, the 2025 season began actually in 2024 with the first week tournaments. Australian Open qualifying began overnight. Wins for Harriet Dart and for Heather Watson. So a good start for them. Number of Brits in the qualifying competition, hoping to boost to the main draw representation from Britain. But defeat for Dan Evans, who of course had that extraordinary Grand Slam at the US Open last year when he won the record-breaking match with Khachanov. Still believes he can get back somewhere close to his best at the age of 34. You know, it's great that he's got that belief, but losing in the first round to his Japanese opponent, James Trotter, was a bit of a surprise for Evans. So he's out in the first round of qualifying. But as I say, Dart and Watson making winning starts.
Let's have a look then forward into 2025 for some of the key British players. Jack Draper starts the year as the world number 15. What chance do you think he ends the year inside the world top 10?
Well, it's a realistic ambition for Jack Draper. What a year it was. Crucially, fully fit throughout the whole of 2024, making that semi-final at the US Open, the absolute standout achievement. Now can he back it up with a run through this year? He won his first ATP title last year, won his first ATP 500 event as well. And as you say, at 15 in the world, I mean, that's a remarkable achievement. You're already among the elite of the world's game when you get to that sort of level. But of course, we like to think of the top 10 as being that secret society, if you like, that club that you really want to get into. And I think Jack absolutely can do it this year. He'll be starting in Melbourne off the back of a little bit of an injury scare at the end of last season. It meant his off-season training wasn't quite to plan. But he's been in Melbourne Park for a good few days now and certainly hitting the ball well. And from what I understand, in good physical condition as well, ahead of a Grand Slam in which he'll be hoping to pull out his best ever result in.
Talking of injury concerns then, that never seems far away when we discuss Emma Raducanu, who pulled out of Auckland last week, but she's in Melbourne with a new fitness coach. What chance that fitness coach can help her stay healthy for more of 2025?
Yeah, Yutaka Nakamura, he's a very experienced fitness trainer on the tennis circuit, worked for many years with Maria Sharapova. I think he's exactly the right sort of person for Raducanu to have at her side, alongside her coach Nick Cavaday, who's been doing excellent work with her over the last year or so. The thing with Raducanu is she's 60 in the world, having made huge strides last year and just playing slightly over 10 tournaments. I think it was 13 events. So to get to that number, playing relatively few tournaments, is quite an achievement in itself. So I think it's only a matter of time before Raducanu gets back inside the world's top 50. Then it's about how many of the big tournaments can she pull out big results in, because that's really where the big ranking points are available at. And as we know from her exploit at the US Open in 2021, when she famously won it as a wild card, as a qualifier, without dropping a set, she has that ability on her day to beat the very best. So if she can stay fit, as you say, that's really the big question. Now with this established, settled team around her, I think 2025 could be a big year for Emma Raducanu.
One of the big talking points of 2025 so far has been what Nick Kyrgios has had to say, particularly about the men's number one, Jannik Sinner, who failed doping tests last year. It was deemed not to be his fault. Iga Swiatek, former world number one, failed one, was banned for a month. Nick Kyrgios' quotes, I suppose the most powerful ones, two world number ones, both getting done for doping, is disgusting for our sport. It's a horrible look. Tennis integrity right now, and everyone knows it, but no one wants to speak about it, is awful. What would your take be on Kyrgios' comments and what happened with both Sinner and Swiatek last year?
I mean, with every anti-doping case, they're so different. Every case is so different. So it is very hard to attach one to another and say, because X got banned, Y should get banned as well. So it's really important to read every tribunal and every report in great depth and detail. I think in terms of the integrity of the sport and the image, it's hard to disagree with Nick Kyrgios. I mean, these are two players who've been world number one. Sinner right now, Swiatek last season, and for a good couple of seasons before that as well. So it's not a good look for tennis one little bit. And the problem the sport has is because it is such a gravy train, a circus which goes on for 11 months a year, 11 and a half months a year, it's non-stop. You don't take time out to breathe. And I think if tennis and the tennis authorities were allowed a little bit of time away to just put things in perspective a little bit, they would admit too that, come on a minute, this is not great. And even though, as I say, there are individual cases, and both of those players you've mentioned were able to prove that they shouldn't receive lengthy bans, the Sinner case will be going to the Court of Arbitration for Sport this year. We know that already. WADA have appealed. So is there the possibility that Sinner could still be banned? Absolutely, there is still that possibility. So how does that work? How will tennis look then if their world number one and two-time Grand Slam winner last year gets a ban at some stage during the season? That's something tennis leaders absolutely have to be prepared for.
And with all that, he'll be there in Melbourne, as you said, looking to retain his title. Does he start as favourite?
Yeah, I think he does. Although Djokovic is going for 25 at the age of 37, almost 38. Extraordinary. He's won 10 Australian Opens, so it seems bizarre for him not to be the favourite. But I think Sinner and Alcaraz have 15, 16, 17 years on Djokovic, and that youthful advantage, if you like, really took them clear in 2024. This was a year when Djokovic didn't win a Grand Slam title. That's unknown territory for him, really. So can he make that ground up again? Does he need to rely on Alcaraz and Sinner losing earlier in the tournament? Potentially. But Djokovic has got this incredible landmark that he's going for, which is 25 Grand Slams, which would make him outright, male or female, the most successful singles player of all time. And that's what he desperately wants, and one of the reasons why he's brought Andy Murray into the camp. I mean, how intriguing is that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing
After
how that
Murray
goes.
retiring last year, now he's in the coaching corner. They say the deal's just for the Australian Open. So, I mean, what happens if Djokovic wins? Do they both drop the mic? Does Djokovic retire on the spot as the greatest of all time, and Murray say, I'm the greatest coach, the only living coach with a 100% record?
That would be brilliant.
It's possible.
Talking of reigning champions, can anyone stop Aryna Sabalenka? She warmed up for the Aussie Open nicely.
Well, I mean, there's no stopping Sabalenka at the moment. One in Brisbane, and she is now the clear world number one because Swiatek had that time away at the end of last season. Coco Gauff has made an excellent start. She helped the USA to win the United Cup, and Gauff, having won the season-ending championships at the end of last season, is well placed for a challenge. But I think Sabalenka, on her day, has the game to beat everybody and beat them comfortably. She's got the power game, but she's got so many more elements. And look at that smile. I mean, she has brought such a relaxed mood to her camp off the court. So often with tennis, you see players and they look very uptight. They look like everything depends on the next forehand. With Sabalenka, she just seems to be enjoying her sport, which is so refreshing and nice to see because it is a game at the end of the day. So she's enjoying it, but she's also winning. And I think that's a dangerous combination for the rest of the world.
Just quickly then, a final word on Gauff, as you mentioned, beats Swiatek in the United Cup. I think she's won the last 2 matches against Swiatek now. Is that a bit of a sign, do you think, to 2025? Career high at the moment is world number 2. Do you think she'll be a world number 1 at some point this year?
I think it's possible, but I think Zheng Qinwen of China will also believe that she could be a number 1 of the future as well. But I love the way Gauff's playing, and I love the way she's taking on Swiatek, having lost so many times to her. It was such a lopsided head-to-head going into their meeting last season at the season championships. But now she's beaten Swiatek on 2 occasions in a row, and I think that is significant. And with Sabalenka, Swiatek, Gauff, Zheng, that's a lovely quartet at the top of the game. You throw into that the uncertainty around Raducanu, who's back and will have Goran Ivanisevic in her corner as well, a former Wimbledon champion, and a whole heap of young players who've shown more than enough ability to challenge. Then this could be a really big year on the WTA.
I think that tees up 2025 nicely. Jonathan, great to see you. Thank you very much indeed.